Hey everybody, welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from Giant Bomb. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about what's going on with Bluepoint and PlayStation and the future of game development in North America. It's going to be a good one because we have Jason Finelli on the show. Jason, how are you doing?
I am doing great on what has already been a freaky Friday here in house. Finelli, the school's lights went out, so I had to pick the kids up early.
Oh, that's really freaky.
Transformer right across the street from the school blew, knocked out my internet for 20 minutes. I was sweating it, but here I am. Yeah, so I had to pick them up about 10:30. They're upstairs playing their tablets and eating snacks, happy as clams. We're supposed to go to a family bingo tonight at the school. Not sure if that's going to happen anymore. But weird. We had a lot of rain overnight, and even this morning I woke up about 6:30. It was pouring, so I guess Transformer was just like, "Fuck this shit, I'm out," and that was the end of that. But other than that, it's been a good week. Well, I mean, it's also freaky in that people in power are actually suffering some consequences this morning. That's very bizarre. I don't know if you saw that ruling.
Is this beyond the Prince Andrew stuff? Like, is someone else getting consequences?
Have you not seen the ruling from the Supreme Court?
No, I have not. What? Just tell me. Let's do it.
6-3 struck down the tariffs.
Let's fucking go. I did not see this. Okay.
Did not see that. Oh boy, you should probably look that up. That might be something we ought to talk about here.
Absolutely.
They struck down. I haven't seen the full opinions yet. I haven't gone through those, but in a 6-3 ruling, the Supreme Court decided that those Trump tariffs were illegal. He could not bypass the congressional approval to get them. There was one quote flipping around, and I'll look for it as I mumble here, that basically was like, he needs to show, here it is. Accordingly, the president must point out to clear congressional authorization to justify his extraordinary assertion of the power to impose tariffs. He cannot.
Yeah. So let's see. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled 6-3 by unilaterally imposing sweeping global tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act that he can't do that. The ruling, authored by Chief Justice John Roberts, struck down the bulk of the administration's tariff program, specifically those implemented using the emergency powers to address trade deficits and drug trafficking. Okay. Well, I mean, the concern here for Trump was, okay, this is going to undo it. What are we going to do with all that money we collected? Because now that money was collected illegally. Figure it out, bitch. Like, let's go.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, cool. That's nice to hear. That'll be a little bit of relief. It's still going to be uncertainty, and America is a weird place to do business in, and the rest of the world's going to feel that for a long time. The damage is already done in a lot of ways, but this is better than the alternative for sure. All right. Well, you know what? There is a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. Thank you for everybody for showing up. We're Giant Bomb. We are internet video game doofuses, and we like to do what we do, and a lot of you like us doing what we do. So if you want to ensure that we can keep doing it, well, we're independent, so we need your help. Go to giantbomb.com/join and become a premium member. It's going to get you a lot of cool stuff. Ad-free shows, as always, of course. But we did just drop Marry Me Tomodachi. The first episode 00, went live, free for everybody. It is Abby Russell's show where she is the crew in a competition of romance to see who can marry all of the best me's in Tomodachi. We spent that first episode just watching her work. Like, someone on Reddit said it's like watching Michelangelo uncover the art from the stone. She was doing that with the me's and creating us in there. It was a beautiful thing to witness. And then it's going to get even more interesting as the show goes premium only for the future, everybody. So become a premium member. Check that out. You also get Grub Snacks Premium, a bunch of other cool stuff that is in the works. So and really the core thing here is you are helping us and stick around and stay around in a world where corporations are not interested in what we do anymore. If you are, it is down to you to ensure it still happens. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings, or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also check the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the show with, here's the email about why PlayStation shut down a studio that put out great games. Sony has closed Bluepoint Studios. Ethan Gotch at Kotaku was able to get the internal email that has a little bit more of an explanation, although it's not going to satisfy anybody. Let's just go ahead and read this story. Sony is shutting down Bluepoint Games just 5 years after buying it. Herman Holst said the decision was the result of an increasingly challenging industry environment in a note to staff on Thursday. Herman Holst is one of the people in charge of PlayStation at this point. It's a shocking end for a studio that Holst himself admits delivered exceptional experiences for the PlayStation community. It comes despite a recent jump in profits for Sony's gaming division. They're up 19% last quarter. I wanted to share an update from the studio business, the message said. And basically he starts by saying, we had a lot of wins and a lot of highlights. Then he says, at the same time, we're operating in an increasingly challenging industry environment. Rising development costs, slowed industry growth, changing player behavior, and broader economic headwinds are making it harder to build games sustainably. To navigate this reality, we need to continue adapting and evolving. We've taken a close look at our business to ensure we're delivering today while still well-positioned for the future. As a result, we will be closing Bluepoint Games in March. This decision was not made lightly. Bluepoint is an incredibly talented team, and their technical expertise has delivered exceptional experiences for the PlayStation community. I want to thank everyone at Bluepoint for their creativity, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality. Where possible, we will work to find opportunities for some impacted employees within our global network of studios. 70 people are due to be laid off from this and losing their jobs. And people are mad and confused, Jason. There was they're trying to promote Marathon, right? They got a social media post about Marathon. All of the replies to that are like, we don't want Marathon. Bring back Bluepoint. And yeah, fair. I have my thoughts about what happened here, but Jason, what do you think's going on?
This is a absolute travesty, if I'm being honest. And people want to jump on Herman Holtz because he's the messenger, and I'm not saying he's completely without fault here either, but you need to remember, the whole live service gas initiative was initiated under the umbrella of one Jim Ryan, and then he fucked off. He retired. He went off and did his own thing. So now Herman's here left holding the bag. Again, not to say he's completely without fault, but I don't put it entirely on him. But even in that regard, you buy a studio that specializes in remakes and remasters. What are you supposed to do with it, Jeff? What should you do with it? Remakes and remasters.
I would have them make a God of War live service game, but that's just me.
Oh, would you?
Man.
Well, Jesus fucking Christ. But I sometimes I feel like I'm crazy because things seem so simple. You buy a remake studio, have them do remakes. They were rumored to do the MGS1 remake until that turned into MGS3 through Konami. There's an entire library of Sony games that have not been touched in years that are primed for a remake. You mean to tell me there's not an audience for, let's say, I don't know, a Legend of Dragoon remake or remaster or sequel or something? Why on earth would you buy this studio and then say, hey, you're going to make a live service game about God of War, which to this point has been a single player narrative driven experience for its entire existence. But you're going to make a live service multiplayer game because that's where things are going. By whoever came up with that idea should have been thrown onto the street immediately. But no, unfortunately, 80 to 100 developers, the number eludes me at the moment, are being thrown out into the street instead, and it's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I'm like, I've been trying to parse this since last night, and I think there's a couple of signifiers here of how things got to this point, why they happen. People did point out that the leader of Bluepoint, like when they got acquired, was like, we don't want to just keep making remakes. We also want to do our own games. I don't know how that turns into a God of War live service game necessarily. That doesn't sound like what he was trying to say to me. So I think what really happens there is you get acquired by PlayStation. PlayStation says, look, the remakes are great, but you are a studio based in Austin, Texas, and that comes with a certain level of costs. And so we're going to want to grow you. Growth. We want growth from you. So that might mean doing something even bigger, more original, or live service, because the potential return on that is even higher. And the people who are going to get a lot of money from being acquired go, okay, we see that what you mean there. We'll see if we can make that happen. And it's like everyone is sort of just trying to act in their best interests while operating in an environment that sort of just necessarily leads people to these decisions of, well, they're good at making remakes, but we need to make more money, even more money than the remakes make. So what are the options? And everyone just looks around at that time and says live service. I think then we get this announcement in the state of play of the God of War 1, 2, and 3 remake. And we don't know who's making that, but it's not Bluepoint, obviously. And what I heard is that game was getting discussed to go into the works last year, which would have been right around the time that Bluepoint was looking around like for their next project after the God of War thing got canceled. So it's like, why not just pair them up? And I think they're screaming at us why they're not doing that. It's too expensive to have an American studio do that. It is when they can just go to a bunch of other companies in other parts of the world that have a fraction of the cost, and it really could be a fraction. And it's like, oh boy, so what does that mean for the rest of the American video game industry? Well, it's going to go the way of the American animation industry and the North American animation industry. You know, there used to be a lot of animators in California. Now, if you're not working at Disney, you're not working there. Those jobs have gone to Vancouver, and those jobs in Vancouver, well, that industry is growing in Canada right now. You could already see it's going to that's not going to be sustainable. That those jobs are going to go to India and other places where they're not just having them do in-betweens anymore, which are, the ideas are done in North America, and then all the grunt work is done elsewhere. That's changing. Directors, writers are coming up in those other spaces. They're becoming, there's already millions of talented people in these countries. Now they're like saying, we could do that work as well, and you could pay us less as well. And those jobs are swiftly moving on. Same thing's happening in video games. And you know, I think we looked back at like 2012, 2013, 2014, and we're looking at the direction of games. And I remember saying over and over again, and then Jason Schreier wrote a book about it, video game development is unsustainable. And this is what we meant. Like, it was unsustainable for the way we were doing things. And now this is Sony screaming. He says it's not sustainable. He said, well, we need to do it in a more sustainable way. That's him saying the way they're doing it now is unsustainable. So my question is, if this is the way that things are going, where American corporations, which includes PlayStation, they shifted their headquarters to California about a decade ago. If American corporations are looking around saying we don't need American and North American developers, we could get the same results from working with cheaper labor elsewhere. How long is it before that cheaper labor elsewhere stands up and says, why do we need North American corporations? Like, what do they give us? This is them sort of. This is the capitalist selling the rope to the person who would hang them. This is like, you know, not saying there's any bad guys here. That's not what I'm trying to imply. I'm saying that like the capitalists would naturally just do the thing that will destroy them in the long run because they don't see that far ahead. And that's where we are with the American video game industry. And it doesn't feel like, it feels like it's like ready for even more collapse as the sort of scaffolding falls apart that's holding this all together. And one of these, Tencent, Nexon, all these other companies begin to take more of the resources away in this global marketplace for labor, and it's going to leave, American corporations behind in some way. They'll find ways to navigate that, whatever. In the meantime, it just feels like we're going to get less and less innovative stuff from traditional companies, and so we necessarily have to be looking elsewhere for cool games because they're not going to do it themselves.
Yeah, if you're an indie developer, or if you have an idea and a way to gather capital, now's the time, because there is no AAA resistance at the moment. They all seem to be spinning their wheels, even when they're releasing good games, right? Even when a game comes out, like Ghost of Yotei is a great example. Yeah, PlayStation had a hit with Ghost of Yotei last year. So we're still here talking about how they're in trouble. Xbox had The Outer Worlds 2. So they're still in deep shit. Nintendo had a couple, and they may be in less deep shit, but they're doing weird stuff in other ways. It's depressing, but also if you want to look at it glass half full, that just means that innovation is going to come from new names.
Yes,
and new
absolutely.
Innovation means new IP, means the new tent poles of the future. So there is, while I don't ever want to see anyone lose their jobs, and God, I hope somebody takes this entire studio and just reforms them somehow and lets them do whatever they want. I don't know how that would happen, but there is some hope in there, as dire as this seems.
Yeah. Well, I think like for people who play video games, you're right. We're like, honestly, like this is the thing where with the 1983 crash, at which I will continue to say was affected gaming globally. I know that's very like pointed. The reason it affected gaming globally, and people are like, well, no, we were fine playing games in Europe. What do you talk about? And in Japan, we were fine. Playing games in America was fine too. People did not notice that there was a crash because they kept playing games, and all that really happened was games got cheaper at the store, and people were like, oh, well, I could buy even more games. The consumer did not notice for the most part. And the same thing kind of could happen here. We'll notice a little bit, especially us people paying a lot of attention. But like games will keep coming. They'll just be coming from different places, and the Fortnites are going to chug right along. Absorbing as much money as possible. Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to come out. It's going to have its own games as UGC platform, and that will be like grabbing headlines and tons of disposable income. People, for the most part, won't notice because we'll just keep buying games from elsewhere. It'll just be these corporations that will end up paying the price because they did not have the foresight to sort of own the pipeline in a real tangible way. And when they did own the pipeline coming out of the pandemic, they're like, well, we don't see the immediate benefit of saving money from making this game in Texas as opposed to somewhere else. So we are just not going to do that. And it's like, man, there's got to be okay, let's say you are having Virtuos, the Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta team doing doing God of War 1, 2, and 3. You could probably have Bluepoint also do something, and maybe the profit margin won't be as large, but it will still be more profit on top of the profit you're making from God of War. Like, I don't think there's any way that Bluepoint remaking a big game, like, or even like a medium-sized game, like think of like a PlayStation 1 like RPG.
Let's say Ape Escape.
Or Ape Escape, yeah. Have them do that. Like, it's like if they make it big, feel big and important, they could really still make a lot of money. So it just feels like it's not they have to see a margin of growth on top of the profits they're already making. And it's like, that is such a short-sighted way to run a company and a business and now an industry. And we won't really pay the price because there's going to be people wanting to make games for us. Indie games are getting bigger every day. We're not going to really notice all that much.
Or here's an idea. You have a show on, I want to say Peacock, that's had 2 very successful seasons under a Sony property. Where's the Twisted Metal game?
Yep.
Right? Like that's a perfect like medium-sized remake. If you could do it, you could have an online multiplayer part, you could have a single player part, and you just build it off of what you're building in the show. Like what are we doing here? I don't understand what I don't get this. And if you're Nixus, if you're Valkyrie, if you're Haven, you've got to be like, oh no, when are they coming for us next? I just like this list in this article has what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 studios. 5 of them either say layoffs or closed. 2 of them say new game soon. That seems bad.
Yeah, and it's like, it's going to be different for each one. Like Nixus is based in the Netherlands, I think. It's a Dutch studio, and it's like that'll probably be in the middle of the road in terms of costs. People have been pointing out like a lot of support studios now are popping up in Spain because the cost of employing someone there is like a fifth or a fourth of what it would cost to employ a support studio like Bluepoint in Texas. Like Bluepoint also did support on Ragnarok, and it's like just looking at the numbers, you very quickly say, oh boy, that we could save a lot of money here. And for these companies, $1 saved is $1 earned. Like that money does show up in the bottom line. It shows up in bonuses for these executive decision makers, but it is always seemingly incredibly short-sighted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like, you're right. Like, what could they have pitched in this like last year to like get the green light? And it's like, I think Sony only would have said yes to some sort of like big lotto number games as service game as well. Like even after what happened with God of War, it sounds like that's the only thing that could have gotten through to Sony. And it's like, okay, so they were doomed from the beginning because it sounds like for as much as the studio said they want to work on their own thing, I bet that's not what they wanted. And even if it was, well, here we are.
I'm curious how they feel about that now. Unfortunately, with hindsight, but sucks. Just another name that we'll never see in front of a game again. Add it to the list.
Yep. And in the meantime, we all just want to play really good games. And And Sony, I think, is they are more profitable, they are successful, but at a certain point, like when do we start chalking that up to the fact that they don't have any competition in the exact space that they're in? Like no one's like they're getting the money from people going like, well, I want to play Fortnite, and I'm hearing from everyone that Xbox might not be around for very long, so let me just get the PlayStation and I'll make all my microtransaction purchases over there. I like half of Sony's revenue now comes from third party like PSN microtransaction sales, and then the other half is from selling full game releases, and that includes their own. So like, okay, that growth is there, but that's not like legitimate growth. That is sort of you just kind of defaulting onto the other team, like handing you their money. Yeah. Like when are you going to start figuring out what's next for you and actually growing? And right, so far, all of their answers have been cutting jobs and closing studios and cutting costs. And it's like, that's only going to get you so far, and that's not going to set you up for the future. Again, we're talking about being myopic. That is very myopic. The innovation is going to start coming from elsewhere, and you're going to get left behind. And it's, yeah, I don't think a lot of the rest of the industry, like PC gaming, outside of the hardware nightmare, doesn't feel like it's having a lot of these same pressures as console gaming. So, and Sony's the company that kind of has to solve that, because Nintendo's on its own little island over there, although we'll talk about it having its own problems before we're done with the stories here today. All right, let's continue on. Let's catch up on some reviews. Demon Tides. This is from FireRed. It is a sequel to a 3D platformer that I really liked. This is the team that is making Bubsy 4D. So
your favorite game ever.
My favorite game ever. Let me double check and see. Hey, listen, Bubsy 4D actually might be legit good.
Yeah, I agree.
Let me see. Demon Tides has an 84 on OpenCritic right now. That's George Foster from The Gamer says, even when I struggled to find a golden gear, I didn't really mind that much, since I knew it just meant spending extra time in Demon Tides' Moorish open world. The platforming is best in class. The characters and world left more of a mark than I expected, and FireRed somehow managed to make going open world seem both effortless and obvious. If the second game in the series is this good, I'm already counting down the days until the third. That's nice, but I bet every developer hates hearing that, where it's like they just spent years making a game, and it's like, where's the next one? But yeah. Let's see. The Game Slayers, Monica Phillips gave it a 6 out of 10. Demon Tides is an ambitious, often janky platform that does its best to show inspiration from some of the greatest games in the genre, and ends up feeling a little bit bland because of it. And then let's see. I like this one just because I like the name of the studio. I think this is also Dutch. Game Leaner for Claudia Tija gave it a 3.5-star review. Demon Tides is a solid but sometimes frustrating platformer with fun collectibles and strong ghost races through its environments, though its movement, level design, and humor don't always land. Yeah, I did like that first one quite a bit, so I'll be checking this out, and I like the idea of it like going open world. That's the kind of game that had a really good movement system, and I would like to just explore that even more. So I'll be interested to see how much it feels like Bowser's Fury or whatever, which is like the only other like there's got to be other like open world 3D platformers, but that's the one I think of, and kind of can't think of any others. Kind of surprised the indie space is already taking that idea on with something like this. So looking forward to trying it out. How about you?
Yeah. Same. I missed Demon Turf. That's the first one, I think is the name
of
it, right?
Demon Turf is the first one. This is Demon Tides.
I did miss the first one, but this is what we were talking about in the previous segment, where an indie studio is trying to iterate on a known formula to 84 out of 100 on OpenCritic. That's pretty good success. That's basically the kind of thing we're going to be looking at now. These smaller studios, indie studios, taking things that we are familiar with and trying to put their own spin on them. I like the idea of being able to just explore this world and find the gears, and I like a little humor in my games too. High on Life too. I was high on Life, so if it might not be that kind of humor, but any humor at all is usually something I attach to. And A Hat in Time being invoked here in the Smashpad review that you posted, that's a good allegory to have. I like the Hat in Time, so yeah, I might give this one a shot based on what I'm reading here, and also because I just want to support indie studios trying something new.
Absolutely. Yep. Same. All right, let's take a break. We got plenty more headlines to get to. We'll find out what's going on with Pokemon Day, which finally officially got announced. We'll talk about that after a break with some ad messages. If you want to skip out on those, go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member. Once you do that, on the website, you will find ad-free versions of the video and audio show. Go ahead and listen to those. In the meantime, we will be right back. It's Game Mess Mornings. Jeff Grubb, Jason Finelli. Let's do this next story here, which is Pokemon Presents announced for Pokemon Day 2026. This is from Nintendo Everything. A new Pokemon Presents has just been announced for Pokemon Day. It will be taking place February 27th, 2026. The presentation will begin 6 a.m. Pacific Time, 9 a.m. Eastern. Sorry, Jan, the Pokemon Company did not say what will be included in the Pokemon Presents event, though we already know that Pokemon FireRed and Pokemon LeafGreen will be releasing digitally on the eShop shortly after the presentation. We'll talk about that more here in a second. I did kind of try to gather up what people are saying about what you can expect maybe. The upcoming Pokemon Presents showcase is expected to cover a wide range of franchise updates, including mobile games like Pokemon Masters EX, Pokemon Go, and Pokemon Sleep, as well as the anime and trading card game. It will also feature more on Pokemon Pokopia ahead of its March 5th release. Since this is the 30th anniversary, the stream will likely dedicate a segment to upcoming celebratory events, such as the confirmed Day Out and Night Out events. Day Out being for families, Night Out for being for adults, I think, to get crunk. Furthermore, leaks suggest a strong possibility of seeing the next generation of RPGs, reportedly titled Pokemon Wind and Wave, which are rumored to be the Generation X, Generation 10 games. The article concludes by noting that coverage of all announcements will be available on Kotaku. That's where I got it from, everybody. All right, so let's see here. Jason, what can we expect?
So they have a lot going on, more so than you would think or really realize if you're only focused on the video games. It mentions Pokopia. It mentions the possible Gen X. Oh man, Gen X Pokemon. That's just weird to say. But like the bunch of mobile games, Pokemon Go, Pokemon Sleep. It also doesn't mention TCG Pocket, which just had an expansion, I think, announced yesterday or the day before. Plus, I have it in pretty good authority that they're going to have a huge selection of Pokemon Day merch for the 30th anniversary coming out on the same day. I saw some things at Toy Fair last Sunday. Some I can talk about, and I will in a second. Some I can't, which are pretty neat. The one thing that struck me the most, I think I posted this picture on Blue Sky. It's a playmat, card sleeves, and a deck box set of it's an artist rendition of the first screen you see when you turn on Pokemon Red or Blue for the first time. That standoff between Gengar in the back or in the foreground with his back turned and Nidorino facing the camera, and it's in the old green grain Game Boy colors. Very, very cool stuff.
That's cool.
As soon as I saw that, apparently I had the largest reaction to anyone that had seen it so far. They were like, "You're the only one that gets it." I'm like, "You call me old? What is that?" But no, there's just other cool stuff there that they showed off. I think the Lego sets will be coming out around that time as well. But I'm most interested, based on what's listed here, to see what these day out and night out things are. I'm curious what the Pokemon Company thinks a night out with Pokemon looks like.
Yeah,
I am genuinely curious what that's going to look like. Day out with the family sounds a little more like I can figure out what's going on there, and that's something I might want to get involved in if it's something around this area or even up in New York. But the night out, oh man, what happens when Pokemon get loose? What happens?
Right? I don't know. I bet there's some fan fiction about that on the internet, but I don't have any insights.
One thing I worry about this though is that these days out and nights out will be confined to like Pokemon Go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that seems very, very
in the
likely.
Game. I'm kind of hoping they have like pop-up events in cities around the country or around the world, and it'll just be in Pokemon. Mr. Mime After Dark. What is wrong with you?
I saw someone say that a recession indicator is that there were like life-size Gardevoirs available for merch on Pokemon's website, and they haven't sold out yet. That's like, maybe
sold out yet. Yeah. Oh no, I do like the names Wind and Wave, though. If you ever were to get the cartridge for one of them and snap it in half, you would then break Wind. That's a problem. But yeah, so Gen X Pokemon, they're all like real like plaid shirts.
Right. They just don't care. Yeah. They're right. Very lethargic. Yeah. It's, well, I will be interested in watching this. I think obviously right now a lot of the conversation is around this next story, which is part of that last story. Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen are coming to Switch February 27th for a gross price, writes John Walker at Kotaku. The rumors were true, as anticipated by Pokemon leaker Coup. Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen, the Game Boy Advance remakes of the original English-language Pokemon games, are coming to Switch and Switch 2 February 27th. They'll be available as downloads as soon as the 30th anniversary Pokemon Direct comes to an end. So yes, indeed, this confirms what was absolutely certain, that there would be a Pokemon Direct, blah, blah, blah. The arrival of these two 20-year-old versions of a 30-year-old game as a paid download and not as new entries in the GBA section of Nintendo's online subscription package is a bizarre and pretty shocking choice. I disagree. It's not shocking, but yeah. Some might say a mercenary one. Yeah. There surely was the potential that they could have been available for free to celebrate the franchise's 30th birthday. Given how ancient they are and how appropriate it would be, that's obviously not happening. It's Nintendo. I think, it's a little bit more complicated than it's Nintendo. It's the Pokemon Company, and the Pokemon Company very protective of making money from Pokemon. And Nintendo owns a third of the Pokemon Company for sure. But they also like the idea of protecting Pokemon's ability to make money. That doesn't make any of it look great. That this is just those ROMs, the same as any of the ROMs that would be on the Game Boy Advance NSO platform. But now you have to pay $20 for each of them. That's a bit of an aggressive price, right?
No.
Yeah.
I am of a different mind of this. It could have been worse. Honestly, they could have gone 30. But so when I first saw this, first of all, I thought I was dreaming because I first saw it at 6:30 in the morning. I opened my email. It was the first email I saw. I'm like, what? But I went on to social media and I went to the feed of the who I've been calling the Doc Brown of video games, Jordan Midler. He's a big Pokemon guy, and I call him Doc Brown because he's a great Scot.
Jesus. Continue. I'll recover eventually.
And he said that it being separate from NSO makes sense because it does use Pokemon Home.
Yes.
And Pokemon Home allows you to upload your Pokemon from all different versions and import them to any versions that support them. And from a competitive standpoint, giving players the ability to use save states and rewind features would fundamentally compromise competition, because then you would allow them to get the Pokemon they need over without basically any chance of failure if they have the patience to go for it over and over again. And if you know anything about the VGC, those players have a lot of goddamn patience. Yeah. So while I understand at first glance you're looking at this as sticker shock, my thoughts are, A, it could have been worse, which is not a good argument, but it could have been worse. And B, the extra inclusion of Pokemon Home from a competitive standpoint, which is a focus they have. They have worlds every single year. They have events all year long in support of that Pokemon worlds. And this year they're putting a giant convention around it. Let's not forget. I understand it. Do I have to like it? No. Am I still going to buy it? Look, I'm not made of stone. I'm probably in for 2 copies each. One of each copy on my Switch and one of either one for one kid and one for the other, and they can play it. So I know I'm not going to sit here and say, don't you buy that, because I would be a hypocrite, honestly.
Yeah.
But after some thought, I kind of get it.
I think you are. I think what's happening here, Jason, is you've had this argument with yourself, and you're being honest in the way that many of the people who are right now mad, who are Pokemon fans, are going to have to. Well, they won't have to be honest with themselves, but they will have to pony up cash to buy it when they eventually break down and buy it themselves, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're going to do it. They're going to be like, I am so angry that I'm pushing this button on Pokemon Day, and they're going to do it, and they're going to play it, and they're going to be 10 years old or however old they were again, and then that'll be that, and then we'll be on to the next thing that we're mad about in the Pokemon fan. This could have been both of them lumped together for $60, guys. It really could have, and you couldn't just get one version or the other. You would have a launching screen where you'd pick your version. It could. Nintendo and the Pokemon Company can be really weird. So when they choose to be weird in this way, it's almost like we got off easy. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this could have been worse. Again, I keep saying that, and it's not a great argument, but that's where I am. And the Pokemon Home thing, I think, is really cool. So I don't have a problem with that.
Well, yeah. Well, once you laid it out like that, it's like nothing. Everything short of the price makes sense. And then it's like when you say it could be worse, it's like I think that's the Pokemon company's reason is like we could get away with a lot here. What's like a number that like feels like we'll be able to get away with the most while still being able to capture the most people, and that's how you come up with prices. It's like, God, if it was like $15, $5 more expensive than like the Pokemon games that popped up on the 3DS near the end of the 3DS's life. It's like I think people would be like, all right. Plus it has home support and yeah. 20, I think it is the sticker shock, and the sticker shock often wears off, and I think that's probably going to wear off here. We know what the Pokemon Company is. This is par for the course for them. And
a lot of the sticker shock too, I think, is coming from people who are familiar with the concept of ROMs and emulators, and who think they can just go, sail the high seas, for lack of a better term. And yeah, that's fine. You go do that. But there are families and there are people who are not as connected. I've had a lot of trouble with people in bubbles the last 24 hours. If you've been looking at my Blue Sky, people are getting in this bubble and they surround themselves with people who agree with them, and they think that that's how everyone in the world thinks. And it's just not true. You have to look outside of your bubble and realize that they're not catering as much to you or I as they are to the people who have never played these games before. I just mentioned my two daughters. They're going to play FireRed and LeafGreen for the first time. I am happy to pay $20 for that experience instead of the price of getting a cartridge, which right now on the secondary market is triple that, if I'm being generous, and a Game Boy Advance for each of them. I think people might be expecting me to get pissed off about this, but unfortunately, I'm just not.
Tall Show says, I still hope they have home support. Home support was taken out of the game's description this morning. Do you think that...
Ah, shit. There goes my whole argument.
Well, I mean, maybe they're saving the details of that for the actual Pokemon Day Presents. But if it doesn't have home support, does that change things for you?
Absolutely. It sucks.
Yeah. Let's go.
It's my whole fucking argument.
It's a reminder for people who are asking again what home support is. It's the thing so you could capture Pokemon in one of these games, send it to Pokemon Home, and then you can use that Pokemon in any of the other Pokemon games.
Yeah, that's a subscription-based service. I don't know what the monthly fee is off the top of my head, but yeah. So it would be weird to even put that as they say on chat. It'd be weird to put that on the screen at all if it's not going to be included in some form or fashion.
Right.
God, I hope it is, because I just made a huge ass of myself.
I bet it will be in there. I bet it will be. All right. It's the easy thing to do to justify the price, right? That's how you capture a lot of these sales. If you give the people just one thing of it includes home, that's why we don't want rewinding. That's why we don't want NSO. Now, Nintendo did put out a little thing about why are you doing it this way? And they seemed very aware. What do they say here? We thought it would be fun. Where is it? Well, these games are being offered as standalone software and are not planned for release as part of the Game Boy Advance Nintendo Classics collection. This is Nintendo saying that. In celebration of 30 years of Pokemon, we thought it would be fun to return to the ultimate versions of the original Pokemon adventures in the Kanto regions with these special releases. It's like them trying to be like, look, we don't have a good reason, but we just like it. And if they could say, and also home support at some point, then it closes that argument a little bit. We'll find out. February 27th. I'll wake up and we'll do a talk over of it. It'll be 9 a.m. It'll be easy for me. See what Jan decides.
I'll do it.
Oh, no, Jan. No. Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Jan!
All right, let's keep going here. 40 employees have been laid off from Ubisoft Toronto. It does not end. This is from Ben Lyons at Game Reactor. It's been a bleak few days in the video game industry around the world, and things certainly aren't much brighter over in Canada. A new report from Mobile Syrup has revealed that developer Ubisoft Toronto has been hit with layoffs, with 40 employees losing their job at the studio. Ubisoft has issued a statement commenting on the situation, expressing that the decision was not taken lightly and does not in any way reflect the talent, the dedication, or contributions of the individuals affected. However, what Ubisoft did find the time to confirm was that this decision will not affect the ongoing development of Splinter Cell Remake, which seems to have been in development for an eternity at this point. Yeah, weird, right? But also kind of in line with what we just talked about with Bluepoint, where it's like they're still going to do these remakes, but maybe they want fewer people getting North American salaries getting paid to do that work. I think especially in any case where they're just swapping in new assets and keeping the game mostly the same. But at this point, even that's not. You can trust studios around the world to handle any sort of upgrades to the gameplay as well. This is going to be more and more common, where you're not going to have like Toronto developers probably cost pretty close to what it costs in like California. Even Toronto's a very expensive city to live in. So I bet that's the big part of it here, and they're just looking for ways to do the same work while paying less for it. That's my read here. What do you think?
It's all about squeezing as much profit out of these projects as possible. And at this point, Splinter Cell Remake has to be a money pit, right? I mean, how long has this game been known to be in development? And that's not including, concept and all that stuff. If that game's even coming out, I do love that this announcement was, we're laying off 40 employees, but they're still making a Splinter Cell Remake. Here it is. Hooray. Like, don't look over there. Don't look at the people who are pushing off the cliff. Look at the thing they were making and are not making anymore, which kind of sucks. I don't know. And it would be very bad for these 40 employees to have lost their jobs only for that game to come out and be bubkiss, which it's Ubisoft. Do we really have a lot of confidence in them at the moment either? There is a lot of layers to this particular shit sandwich. And the more you think about it, the more it stinks.
Yep, it is. It's very frustrating because it's just a thing where we've been asking for these things. They say they've been making them. What is taking so long? Let the studios cook, and then the studios, okay, they get to work, and then a few years into it, it's like, well, you're costing us too much. We're going to go do it in a different way, and it's again, it just feels very short-sighted. You're going to build up this talent elsewhere, and it sounds like they're mostly going to outsource it, right? They're not going to like take it to their other studios, like they're closing other studios around the world. So it's like they're just going to outsource it, and that outsourced talent is going to continue to grow and outgrow companies like Ubisoft. So, yeah. This next story, huh? Wild stuff. Okay, let's try to just track this one down, everybody. Night in the Woods publisher Finji accuses TikTok of creating racist, sexist, and uneditable generative AI ads for its games.
Bingo!
This is from Sophie McAvoy.
Bingo!
At game, yeah, right. Oh my God, yeah, it's every bad thing. Sophie McAvoy. Sophie did a good job of kind of wrapping this up. That's why I'm using her version. But go read the original story on IGN. It's a wild ride.
Rebecca Valentine did it again. Nailed it.
Just great reporter. Valentine Reb is fantastic. Indie publisher Finji has accused TikTok of modifying its game ads with generative AI without its knowledge or permission. Like, I know that sounds crazy. It is that crazy. As IGN reports, an advert for Finji's 2025 game, A Usual June, was modified to produce a sexualized, racist, this is a quote, and sexist representation of the studio's work. The ad, which was presented as coming from Finji's account, presented a sexualized version of the game's female protagonist that differs substantially from her appearance in the game. Finji first learned about the AI-generated content from comments on TikTok and its official Discord in early February. The publisher's CEO and co-founder, Rebecca Saltzman, clarified that Finji runs ads on TikTok, but had not opted into the platform's AI tools. This includes two features: Smart Creative, and that's a proper noun, and Automative Creative, another proper noun, both of which use generative AI to generate multiple ad versions and automatically optimize assets. Finji said it is unable to view or edit the AI-generated versions of its own ads and has repeatedly tried to resolve the issue with TikTok's support team. You figure you get a hold of somebody and say, hey, how do we fix this? It provided IGN with screenshots of the support conversation, which confirmed that the studio was not using AI content, but TikTok was unable to explain how the ads had appeared or give a timeline for resolving the problem. Subsequently, on February 6th, a TikTok support agent said it did not see any indication that AI-generated assets or slideshow formats were used, other than fucking looking at the ads, I guess. After Finji provided evidence disproving this claim, the support agent then acknowledged the unauthorized use of AI, the sexualization and misrepresentation of your characters, and the resulting commercial and reputational harm to your studio. And that's a quote. It continued, "We want to be clear that we are no longer disputing whether this occurred. We understand that you have provided documentation and that audience comments on the ads further corroborate your claims. However, despite saying that, the matter would be escalated. I'm sorry. Despite saying that the matter would be escalated immediately for further review at the highest appropriate level, and it would discuss next steps toward resolution, the platform made no further contact, and a subsequent follow-up with Finji only prompted a separate answer saying the firm's ad campaign was using, quote, a catalog ads format designed to demonstrate the performance benefits of combining carousel and video assets in sales campaigns." Word salad, I think, just to say, basically go back to the original statement of, you opted in. TikTok declined to provide comment on record to IGN regarding this situation. Saltzman said, "I have to admit, I'm a bit shocked by TikTok's complete lack of appropriate response to the mess they made." This is nuts.
This is insane. Like, first of all, like, what does TikTok think? Like, where, in what universe does it think it can edit the ads it receives without giving consent to the company?
I mean, it's got to be like one of the features that they're promising, like, hey, you just give us your base assets, and then we'll use AI to create a bunch of different versions to A/B test. And I bet a lot of people are like, yay, okay, I'm trying to get my small business off the ground. That's great. Finji, a creative studio that knows exactly what they're trying to sell people and how to sell it to them, certainly, obviously didn't want it. They didn't opt in. There was a chance to opt into it. They didn't, and yet somehow got sucked into this nightmare regardless. And then it created, like, it was a sexualized version of the character where she was like wearing a bikini bottom and stuff like that. None of that is in the game.
Nope.
It's so like, it's like beyond Black Mirror stuff at this point.
Yeah, no, this is a whole new level of tampering or like, we can do whatever the fuck we want and you can't say anything about it sort of nonsense, thinking they're untouchable or infallible. Do you think this was happening before Ellison and company signed in, or you think this is a new development? I'm genuinely curious.
Because I bet it was something that was happening before. I bet it kind of like spiraling out of control is something that's happened under Ellison. So Larry Ellison, Oracle, and a bunch of other people, Jared fucking Kushner, I think, have acquired TikTok recently so they can keep operating in the United States, that whole mess. And since then, it's been nothing but stories of, oh, it's falling apart. The servers are not being maintained. It's just a bad deal over there. This sounds like a fallout from that firestorm.
Yeah, and what? It's a non-zero chance that the support agent they were talking to was AI also, right? I mean, of course, you're asking Shodan to stop killing people. You're asking GLaDOS to stop testing. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? These people and Finji, any other game company, right? It could have been any other game company, and it would have still been really, really, really weird. But Finji, Night in the Woods, Finji, Tunic, Little Fox Boy. This is like I cannot wrap my head around this story. How did we get here? Where do we go from here? I have a lot of existential questions happening because of this. And like, if you're a game company, or if you're any company at all, you read this story, do you advertise on TikTok anymore?
I mean, no, like Saltzman basically just spells it out here. What really is utterly baffling is what appears to be a profound void where common sense and business sense usually reside. Does TikTok want me to be grateful for the mistreatment of my company and our game? Based on the wild response through the weeks of customer service correspondence we have received, I think this is their stance, and take on their obvious offensive and racist technology and process, and how they secretly use it on the assets of their paying clients without consent or knowledge. Saltzman went on, this is just simply embarrassing, but not for me as an individual. For me, I am just super pissed off. This is my work, my team's work, and mine, and my company's reputation, which I have spent over a decade building. My expectation was a proper apology, systemic changes in how they use this technology for paying clients, and a hard look at why their technology is so obviously racist and sexist. I am obviously not holding my breath for any of the above anymore. Yeah, right. It's just common sense. It's business sense. The paying customer is going saying, you have wildly overstepped your bounds here. And there is like I get it, the customer service, like that's the problem though. The fact that you're reaching a customer service agent that might be AI, and if you're not reaching them, they're probably using AI to formulate their answers. The fact that you cannot reach a human being that understands why this is a problem and then can do something about it. And then when you do reach that point where they acknowledge they did something wrong, correspondence cuts off. That is the situation. Like, you would never want to do a business with someone like that ever again.
No,
and
absolutely.
TikTok doesn't seem to care.
So they must think again that they're untouchable, that they're infallible. I think that there's a pervasive thought around the billionaires and the elites right now that they can do whatever they want because they get enabled by the shithead in charge. I think Finji has a open and shut case here. I mean, it certainly seems like it, don't you think?
Oh yeah, they should absolutely sue. Yes.
Yeah, and if they try and fight it, it can go all the way up to the top. And I think even the top would be like, what the fuck is this? What are you guys doing here?
Right.
So
like a business should be able to control how their business is messaged, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, you shouldn't like pay someone for a service and then they're like, we got it from here. You sit back. We're going to make some racist and offensive shit and it's going to be really good for your game. The fuck? No.
Well, I mean, that's what an advertising does. You tell us your thing, we'll make an ad campaign about it.
Like, you approve it.
Check with the company that made the thing. It has to be approved. They can't
Every step has to be approved. Yeah.
Like, it's fucking wild. It's absolutely wild.
All right. Well, I'm gonna stick with this story, and we'll see if Reb has any follow-ups, if TikTok has any public response in future shows. Square Enix says NieR Automata to be continued after shifting 10 million copies. Square Enix said in a new video, which celebrates the fact that the thoroughly enjoyable NieR Automata has shifted over 10 million units, is set, quote, to be continued. Whether this means we will get brand new NieR console game, remains to be seen, as they could just be alluding to more crossovers with 2B. Yeah, well, I think they're going to do more NieR games. What do you think?
I think they're going to do more NieR games, and not for nothing, but this is a game that TikTok could have fucked with the ads with, and nobody would have noticed. But no, it's 10 million units is not anything to shake a stick at, and I think it's definitely a game that I don't know if it can be followed up on. I understand that the endings of that game and the way that they all kind of tie into one big overarching narrative, you may have to do a brand new game in the NieR world. Right.
Yeah, that's kind of what NieR was, right? Like NieR 1 and 2 were kind of follow-ups to Chat. Help me out. It was a long.
It was NieR in 2012
or something like that.
Drakengard. It's a side story of Drakengard.
Yeah, Drakengard
is what it is.
Exactly right. So like you kind of continue that idea of like, oh, now here's another thing that happens 1,000 years later or something like that. Yeah.
Sure. And just say it's part of that over universe. But yeah, there's definitely potential here. Now you have to wonder: is it just the surface level Gooner stuff, or do people? Because everyone I've ever heard that's played it stuck with it till the end, it says it's one of the best games ever made, one of the best stories ever told. Absolutely loves it. So I think you can appeal to both here. You can appeal to the people that are looking for a deep story, and you can appeal for the goons. And they might have a lightning in a bottle here. They should probably keep on with it.
And then last story, no one is buying Mario Tennis Fever in Japan. Okay, so Famitsu first week sales came out for Mario Tennis Fever. It's 38,000 copies sold in Japan. Now, that's just physical, so we should keep that in mind. But that is significantly less than any other Mario Tennis since Mario Tennis for Virtual Boy. Let's, as a comparison, Mario Tennis Aces, which had a similar install base at the time, that one sold 122,000 copies in its first week. The N64 game sold 200,000 copies in its first week. Power Tennis for Game Boy Color sold 140,000 copies in its first week. So we're talking less than 40,000 copies, not 140,000 copies for Fever. And it's just like, it's got to be like, people already have Aces on a backward compatible machine. That game did very well. It ended up selling a couple million copies, I think. And then this game is $70. And it does, you just look at it and it's just not all that different. Like, if this was a different sport, if this was Mario Baseball, we're probably not having this conversation, right? People would be excited for that, and they would have showed up to pay $70 for it. Yeah, me too.
I would have been there with bells on, especially now with baseball season starting up soon.
And you put Mario characters in there and Shohei Ohtani, and you got yourself a huge hit.
an MLB crossover.
I mean, just
Official
Shohei.
Nintendo.
Just Shohei. Like it's
Shohei?
just Shohei and Mario characters. Yes. Like that
Well,
game would
as a
crush.
as a Philadelphia Phillies fan, I would no longer play that shit. But but no, you are absolutely right. Just Nintendo characters and Shohei and like a Ken Griffey Jr. style. Shohei Ohtani's winning run. There it is.
Yeah.
Call it that.
Yeah, and
Just
yes, make it an isekai. Exactly. Shohei gets isekai'd. Yeah.
Isekai Ohtani. Oh my God, I love this idea. And someone asked in chat, what about the GameCube version in its first week? 139,000 copies, second most on this list, I think. So I also think too, I wonder if people had a bad taste in their mouth because Aces was not great. I mean,
Aces, right. I think it's very similar problems between these two games. Where I think the tennis is great in Aces. Like I think the tennis in Aces is the best it's ever been. It's like a fighting game. It feels great, and then there's just not enough content there to justify that price at the time, which was $60. And then like they did the thing there where they did with all the Mario sports games at the time, where it was very limited content, and then they dropped it for free in patches like going forward, and that did not do it many favors. And so, people might be feeling burned by that. And they're like, we'll wait and see. And I think if you were waiting to see here, it's like, people seem to be enjoying the game, but not so much more so than any of the other Mario Tennis games. It's that game again. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I think their next sports game needs to be a different sport. Baseball, which they've done before, even something they've never done before, or maybe something they did in that sports mix, kind of expand that into its own game.
Yeah. I think they could do golf again, because I think if you bring golf back and you make it clear it's like we're going back to like asynchronous online tournaments and stuff like that, and making it less of a party game, like Speed Star or Speed Rush, whatever it was called. That was like a party game. That was, hey, get a bunch of people together in the room during the pandemic, your family, I guess, and play that game. It's like, yeah, sure, but what about the online tournaments? So we don't have that. That's the 3DS game, and it's way better on there. So go to hell. But you're right. Another sport is kind of necessary at this point, and really just a rethinking of how they sort of bolster the content. It is whatever they're doing here to like make it feel like this game is worth $70. That does not work. It does not. I don't think they've convinced anyone it's worth 70.
I agree. I think if I'm Nintendo, I think baseball, even if you go with the MLB route or even just Shohei, is the best option. You get all those characters from Mario. Even if you want to call it the Nintendo Baseball League and bring in all like a Smash Brothers for baseball, and you let people like, and I'm getting going off on a tangent here, but like, imagine a Nintendo baseball game where everybody has their own little stats, everything like kind of like at the show, but not quite as involved, and then you could get like 8 people together in a league. And you could have like tournaments, you could have like round robins and all that stuff. I think that would be awesome. That's how you build on a Mario baseball game, but that takes time and money, and I don't think Nintendo wants to invest any of that. So
yeah, man, there's $135 or excuse me, €135 Mario and Friends wood block set. Someone just shared in chat. That's expensive.
$150 here in the good old US of A. It's part of the My Mario line of like younger kids stuff that they announced a couple days ago.
Awesome, actually. Yeah, I kind of wish it was around when my kids were young, but expensive.
Yeah, that might better be made a bit like cherry wood or something.
Right, exactly. Find, from George Washington's cherry trees. Yeah. All right. That does it for the headlines. Let's get to the poll question from yesterday. Let me get the results over here. Gonna refresh, get the most recent results. All right. What do you think about Xenoblade Chronicle X's $5 Switch 2 edition upgrade? I think it should be free. I get it. Not for me. I'm gonna say not for me. And so did 18% of respondents. 38% said they get it. And 44% said I think it should be free. I'm surprised because it's like, it's the easiest thing in the world to go to a poll and be like, I think it should be free. And yet 38% were like, no, I get it. I think that's a lot of Xenoblade fans held a little bit hostage, thinking there was a chance this wouldn't happen, and very grateful that it is happening, and being like, look, if I got to pay $5, I'll pay $5. What do you think?
Also, too, and I guess the argument could be made that visual upgrades for a game as massive as that one, we're talking 80 to 100 hours, could warrant more than being free. But I think I'm on the free side too. It doesn't really add much more. If it was like visual upgrades and then maybe like another gameplay thing, maybe you pay the $5 for that. Exactly. But just for visual upgrades, I think I think free was the right one. And also, too, it's just Nintendo checking off every box they can so they don't have to make the Smash Brothers Switch 2 edition that we all want. Just you're running out of games here. Just give it to us.
Yep. What's this about Blue Dragon? Blue Dragon's getting a recompilation. Well, if that's happening, we'll talk about it next week. All right. We got to do the Bomb 12 to wrap up the week. We'll do that here in a little bit. Before we get to that, let's check in with Jason Finelli. What do you have going on? Where can people find you on the internet? All that good stuff.
Yes, sir. JasonFinelli.com on Blue Sky, Big Man Finelli on Instagram. Had a very cool thing I was able to do yesterday. Magic the Gathering Ninja Turtles, March 6th. They're coming out with a co-op thing, 2 to 4 players, called Turtle Team Up. You open up the box, there's 4 decks, 1 for each turtle, and you play against the little machine that's in here. There's like a boss cards that have effects and event cards where every turn they do 2 things to you. Great way to teach Magic to new players. I'm going to try and do this with my kids and my wife to see if they get the hang of it.
That'll be fun to hear about.
So I want to do that. I played it with some enfranchised players. They thought it was kind of fun. Also comes with 4 packs, so you can take cards out of the packs and put them into here, like these awesome alternate art rooftop lands where they're jumping over the rooftops.
Right.
I think that art is fantastic. Earlier in the week, they revealed a bunch of cards. The Precon Commander deck is all about video games, has like Electric Seaweed from the original game. It has cards like High Score, Arcade Cabinet. There's some really cool pixel art variants where they're drawn by a pixel artist from South America. I don't remember exactly where he's from. That's just gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. So that was really cool. Also did Toy Fair last week, like I mentioned. That's where I got that. That was pretty neat. I didn't get a chance to write about it, but I got to play the demo early of People of Note, and that's gonna be cool. Turn-based RPG, a little musical bent. That is something really, really cool that you should be looking into. Also have another review game that I'm playing right now that doesn't have a home for a review yet. Can't talk about it, but oh boy, it's going to be fun. I don't know if I'll discuss after with you.
Yeah,
but yeah, just doing the writing and doing the stuff and trying to get through every day with a smile on my face. There it is.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's see here. Let's talk about what's happening on Giant Bomb. As a reminder, that first episode of Marry Me Tomodachi is alive now. You can get that on the website. That one is on YouTube. Future episodes will be premium only. Go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member, get in on that. Put up a new episodes of Grub Snacks Premium as well this week. We're going to be doing UPF today. I don't think we figured out what we're doing. We might just hang out and play some stuff. I don't know. We're going to make it super chill. I'm in the mood to just hang out with my friends. Unless Chad, if you have a friend swap game you want to suggest, something new and weird, even if it's bad, that could be a good time. Let us know. I'm in the mood for some friend swap.
Dark Souls.
Yes, exactly. We should do Dark Souls, but by way of Tokyo Scramble, and we each control a different aspect of the character. And it's
there you go. 1
character, 4 people controlling it. Everyone's demanding lore. We could do Super Battle Golf. Okay, yeah, I'll look into that.
Maybe has Steam Next Fest started yet? Is there like a demo?
I was wondering. I know it's starting by next week. I wasn't sure if it had started at this point. I know there's like a couple of games I'm going to check out from there once it goes live, and I heard the 23rd, but I wonder if that's just for certain games.
Oh, you could do Overwatch again. That was fun.
Overwatch
inspired me. I want to play it again.
Overwatch is great. I'm sure if you say that, Mike will jump all over that, and I had a really good time as well. But we did just play that, so we'll see. We'll see what we're thinking.
I got to dust off the Reinhardt.
I would love to check out Steam Horse Fest, but we're friends with H Bomber Guy now, and I just don't want to upset him. Listen, I don't know where I fall on the fence regarding the reality of horses, but I just don't want to upset my friend. All right, let's see here. Let's do the Bomb 12, everybody. It's time to wrap up the week with the 12 games that really matter to people who really care about video games. Let me get my Figma up over here so I have all the right results. Here we go. Number 12, Helldivers 2 back in the top 12. Number 11 is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Number 10, Dragon Quest VII Reimagined hanging on to its spot. Number 9 is Ghost of Yotei. Number 8, High on Life 2, which people seem to be growing more positive on. I think it's one of those games, it's like if the humor hits, you're going to have a good time. Number 7 is Cairn, after being number 1 last week, I believe. Cairn still hanging on as well. Number 6 is Silent Hill F. Number 5, Romeo is a Dead Man. Very good for that game. I think more people will be checking that one out as well. Number 4 is Deadlock, dropping out of the top 3. Then that means number 3, its triumphant return, Overwatch. No Overwatch 2, just Overwatch. Everyone is playing that game now. Number 2, still Neo 3. I wasn't able to get in the number 1 spot because that went to, instead, of course, Mugenics, which seems like everyone jumped on that one. Meow indeed. So congratulations to Mugenics. Congratulations to all the games in the Bomb 12. You should tell me what game you're playing this next week. We'll put up a new poll, a new Google form that you could submit your game to, so you could have your say on the Bomb 12. You could find that by going to giantbomb.com. Scroll down a little bit. You'll see the Bomb 12, the 12 games I just talked about. Then right to the left is a little button you can click on. It will take you to the form. Submit your game. Let me know. And we'll have a new Bomb 12 to wrap up next week as well. All right. I think that does it. Jason, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talk about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome. Glad I had a chance to do it. Thank you as always. Always an honor.
Thank you all for watching and listening. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.